Welcome to Life and Whiskey. As always, I'm Jordan, and today we are talking holiday gifts. So, Merry Christmas to those that celebrate, Happy Holidays to those who don't. And yeah, what do you get the whiskey person in your life, or if you need to bring a bottle to maybe a corporate function or something like that? What do you bring? How much do you spend? All that good stuff. We're going to break it down a little bit. So, no clue how long this video is going to be, but hopefully, we can give you some ideas as to what to bring or buy for that special someone or function. So, first things first, is it for a whiskey nerd like myself who can really appreciate the nuance and something different and would be happy with something, or is this for somebody who only likes X? Are they only a bourbon fan? Are they, do they like only a specific category? And would they be happy with anything within that category? And or are they just a fan of like one brand name? I know people who are only fans of, maybe not fans, but only drink one specific brand. You bring a bottle of that for them, they're happy, whatever. So that's the first thing. You really need to have a basic understanding of who you're dealing with. And I think this is true for all gifts, right? Are you just gonna go out and say somebody likes ice cream? Are you just gonna go out and go, well, I like chocolate ice cream, so clearly this person must like chocolate ice cream too? No, you got to have somewhat of an understanding of who that person is and what they like. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down some basic categories and look at some whiskeys there. Um, and try not to break the bank. Obviously, I always talk about whiskeys that are kind of on the cheap end here, but we're not going to go for those low bottom shelf budget whiskeys, even though they can be a really good option. It's a gift. Let's stick in that 25 to maybe $40 range, somewhere like that. And so to start it off, I'm going to go back on all that. We're going to look at Canadian whiskey. So if you know somebody who likes Canadian whiskey, you're probably just best off to get rid of that friend anyways. I mean, it's like, being a Democrat or Republican. You might as well just disown that friend. There's no reason to go any further in life with that person. And of course, I'm kidding. But from what I understand, and I don't really know this personally, the Canadian whiskey we can get in the United States apparently is not the good stuff. Apparently, it's all up in Canada still. At least from other reviewers, Whiskey Tribe talks about this somewhat. They've had an opportunity to check out some different things. I have not, but most likely what you can find on your shelf locally is not going to be something that is maybe what the best that Canada has to offer. But having said that, I will say there are three Canadian whiskeys. Um, so Pendleton being one, um, and then these two, which I've reviewed. I've not reviewed Pendleton on this channel, but I have reviewed in my budget series. So going back on what I just said, budget whiskeys here. Now Canadians are budget whiskeys, kind of by nature, it seems. Okay. And so what we have here is, so this is the Northern Lights Extreme Budget Canadian Whiskey. I think it was $5 and some change. Um, and if somebody would like a shortbread cookie, sweeter note, a bready cookie kind of note, with some vanilla, I would highly recommend the Northern Lights. If you want like a caramel, vanilla, sweet, R&R, and I would opt for the Reserve because this is still under $10 in most places. Most often you're going to be mixing your Canadian whiskeys. Uh, Most people that I know, I don't really know of anybody that drinks them straight up, but by all means, if they are for some reason involved in Canadian whiskey, or if you're going to a business function, and you're, not really sure who's there and whether or not whiskey's going to be appreciated by the crowd, there's really no reason to go off and buy fancy expensive stuff. This R&R Reserve makes a great mixer, so just something to consider there. So Pendleton, the Northern Lights, R&R Reserve. those would be my recommendations for Canadian whiskey. Moving on, if you were looking at something in the rye category, so I know rye is kind of a hipster thing nowadays, and it's a growing category for a lot of people and a lot of brands. I would recommend Sazerac Rye by the Sazerac Company. They own Buffalo Trace, or Minor Case. And Minor Case is an MGP whiskey, and I don't remember. Limestone Branch Distillery. This might be a Beam Suntory product. I don't remember, but in any case, whoever owns the brand, doesn't really matter. It's an MGP whiskey that's in there. A very good whiskey. Neither of these are gonna top out over $35, or at least they shouldn't be. Sazerac tends to have that sweet floral flavor, and leans more towards a bourbon as far as a rye goes. The Minor Case has a lot of the classic rye spice, but floral, black licorice, very sweet and smooth, kind of a hard candy finish in there. So they kind of go to semi-opposite ends of the spectrum of what rye can do and how it presents. So again, who knows the person? Hopefully, you know the person that you're going to be buying these gifts for a little bit better than not at all. And if they're a rye fan, I would highly recommend one of these two. If they want something really more classic, more spice, cheap, Old Overholt's a great one. That's a classic. And George Dickel Rye also has a lot of the classic rye notes. And so is more down the middle when it comes to the rye experience. So maybe check out one of those, but my personal recommendations would be either Minor Case or Sazerac Rye. So there's our rye category. Scotch. Now I am just starting to get into scotches and really starting to explore the categories quite a bit. And since there's multiple regions for Scotch to come from, I will recommend it. It is way more expensive. Like I said, $90 locally. Lagavulin 16. Isla Scotch, really peaty, smoky, campfire, ash, all kinds of notes that are a bit abrasive to most people. So this is probably one that if you're gonna want to know that somebody's really gonna either appreciate the nerd path of whiskey or appreciate Isla Scotch already. And it's expensive. You can get the Lagavulin 8, which should be a bit cheaper. So this was 90. You could pick up Lagavulin 8 for like 60 or 70, I believe. Still really expensive. And this is more of an exploratory thing. So I would say if you can get like the Ardbeg stuff, those kind of are in the upper 40s, 50s, $60 range. They're also Isla Scotches. But I would say that unless you know that that is a category that the person you're shopping for really, really is going to like, maybe avoid Isla Scotch. Maybe stick to like Highland. Speyside, maybe. Though you can get a fair bit of peat in that. But like the Highlands are going to be like sweet and honey, light fruits. They're just going to present really light flavor, sweeter flavor. So if that's something that somebody's gonna like, now this is my Infinity bottle, but it is a Monkey Shoulder bottle, and I would say Monkey Shoulder would be a great budget-friendly Scotch for people to try. I know a lot of people haven't actually tried it, so that would also be a good reason to maybe bring this bottle to a Scotch person. It's like $25 to $35, super affordable. Has all the light, sweet flavors that Scotch can bring forward, and so that would be my recommendation. I'd kind of lean more heavily towards Monkey Shoulder than the Lagavulin, but as far as an Isla presentation goes, I really do like this, so I had to throw that one in there. You can always go with your Johnny Walkers and your Doers or something like that. But again, I think Scotch as a whole is a category that you really, really got to know who you're buying for, because there's a wide breadth of flavors and profiles and prices. So for that reason, unless you know they're a Scotch person, you might want to skip that category or try something like Monkey Shoulder, where it's sweeter, more friendly, more rounded, and an easier drinker, just in case it's something that somebody doesn't like. In the rye category, I also forgot. Now, this is also another Infinity bottle, but Redemption Rye, another MGP product, but one of my favorites. So moving on to bourbon. Again, not trying to break the bank. My absolute favorite bourbon at the moment, Wild Turkey product, is Long Branch. I've spoke about it before. Just a really nice, smooth, easy drinking caramel vanilla mixed with oak. Hint of cherry in there. It's just a really, really nice product. Very well done. $35 locally, so not extremely expensive, but very well labeled, nice looking bottle, good presentation. Highly recommend this one. And because on this channel so far and in the world as a whole, there's just so many more bourbons that are affordable and obtainable for people, I got multiple bourbon recommendations. So the next one up might be a bit harder for people to find, but for me personally, super easy to find. It's going to be Weller Special Reserve, a wheated whiskey. I think it was $28 locally. So for me, not very expensive. I know people, especially in the secondary market, are paying over $100 for this. So if it comes down to that, definitely do not get something along the Weller line. But if you can find it for under $35, by all means, Weller Special Reserve, Buffalo Trace product. It's a nice whiskey, and it's one of those names that if somebody knows whiskey, can really appreciate it. So for that factor alone, it kind of makes a nice gift idea, and they're relatively hard to come by in a lot of places. Sticking with the Buffalo Trace line, the next one should be easy for everybody to get, but Eagle Rare. Again, I think I paid $22 for Eagle Rare, so not breaking the bank. Relatively easy to obtain, and it's it's kind of a fruit, floral, sweet, smooth finishes with a nice light oak in there. Just a nice drinking bourbon. So if you got a bourbon fan and they're not already into the Buffalo Trace line, maybe give them a bottle of something to explore another brand name. But chances are they've already had this and would most likely enjoy it. So Eagle Rare, you're not breaking the bank if they don't enjoy it, and another good whiskey. Finally, one that a lot of people don't know about and probably have overlooked, but David Nicholson Reserve. It's relatively cheap, easy to get your hands on, $25 bottle. It has all classic bourbon flavors. Right down home plate, smooth, easy drinking. I would definitely give it a shot as far as a gift. I think anybody who appreciates bourbon could really appreciate David Nicholson for sure. The little tag on here says that it was voted best straight bourbon. I don't know. Awards, they're kind of like all the awards for movies and whatever else. It's just people, giving themselves accolades, and yeah, they don't really mean much to me. Especially if your palate doesn't line up with that, or the person who you're buying the gift for. If their palate doesn't line up with these, then it doesn't matter how many awards it won, right? So, but cheap, relatively cheap, and a good drinking bourbon. Yeah, so if you want something that's maybe out of the ordinary, not as classic, so it's not your Maker's Mark or your Jim Beam or your Knob Creek or whatever. Like, maybe go out and try some of these for gifts. I think they'll be well received. Um, as far as Irish goes, I don't have a lot of Irish reviews yet, and I don't have a lot of Irish whiskeys. But Proper 12 is a decent one. That's relatively budget friendly. If you know for a fact that they're an Irish fan, Green Spot, Yellow Spot, um, Redbreast. I mean, they're more spendy. They're definitely more spendy, but they might be something that you want to look at. So as far as whiskeys go, I've skipped a couple of categories, but these are kind of the main categories that people are focusing on. So maybe think about some of these and give them a try as gifts. So veering away from the whiskey world, then, as far as actual liquor. Um, and kind of moving into the accessory category, some things to think about with accessories. Maybe if they don't already, some kind of a Glencairn glass. You'll notice that I do all my reviews drinking out of Glencairn, and I think that they are really, really an upgrade from pretty much any standard pint glass or open top glass like a tumbler or something like that. Um, they really channel, so this might be more towards the whiskey dork, but they channel all of the evaporative notes to one single point. And they really, really do. So if you go head to head with a Glencairn and any other type of open top glass, put a pour in each one of them and then smell them side by side, and you'll think that you are drinking two completely, I mean, completely different whiskeys. And the same thing goes for the flavor profile. It really does change quite drastically. So for that reason, highly recommend a Glencairn. It's my go-to glass. If not a Glencairn, then maybe like a tulip-shaped glass. That's tulip-shaped glass. Definitely is an improvement for drinking whiskey. And another thing is, if you know that somebody really likes to mix drinks, mix whiskeys, some kind of a mixer set if they don't already have one. They're not very expensive. You're talking $25 for, this 14-piece set. And it's just a nice little gift idea. But, chances are if they're really into mixing drinks, they probably already have one of these, but it just makes the process easier and something to check out, right? So that's kind of on the non-whiskey, non-liquor side of things. Pour spouts, they're always good to have. They really help out. That's kind of all I got for whiskey related ideas. There's a lot of tumblers, a lot of different types of drinking glasses out there. A lot of them focus around ice. I'm not going to crap on anybody if they want to put ice in their drink, but I will say if they're really a whiskey enthusiast of any sort or just really enjoy a particular type of whiskey, maybe avoid the fancy rocks or the stones or ice makers or anything like that. What cooling down a product does is it tamps down flavors, flavor profiles, nosing notes, all that stuff. So if you okay, here's something that's pretty controversial but proven fact. Uh, Americans, we tend to drink our beer extremely cold, so like everybody's like, oh, the mountains have to be blue, and I don't know, Miller Bud, any of those things. You have to drink them cold. The reason why you have to drink them cold is because they taste like shit. They're horrible products, and if you don't drink it cold, you get to taste how horrible they really are. Good beer should be drank at room temperature, and a lot of people go, ugh, warm beer. Well, I mean, come on, 60-degree beer, it's not that warm. You're not really going to notice a big difference as far as the quality of the product, but flavor really comes out of a glass if it's proper temperature. Now, if you're out working and you come in, you're like, oh, I want to have a beer. Yeah, great. Something cold, something nice, whatever. But you're just drinking water with alcohol. If you want flavor, you need to have something a little bit warmer. Same thing's true with alcohol. You warm it up to room temperature, you're going to get a lot more out of that glass. So, Again, not shitting on people that want to drink stuff cold, but if you are cooling down a drink, a whiskey of some sort, you're going to lose out on at least 50% flavor profile, nosing notes, whatever. If that's your deal, great. Then maybe that gift is a good idea for you. But if you're trying to explore something, I would recommend avoiding going with some kind of a cooling product. And for that reason, as a gift, I would not give something like that to somebody unless you know that that is, an object or the way that they like to drink their whiskey. If they like it on the rocks or something like that. But if you're really exploring a whiskey, neat kind of is the only way to go. But that's not to say that that's the only way to drink it. It's just what is most beneficial for that. So wrapping it up, this was a fairly long video, but those are just a couple of gift ideas for whiskeys and whiskey enthusiasts. You can never go wrong with a craft product if the person you're buying for truly is an enthusiast and is always looking and exploring like myself. Then pretty much any craft product you can find, especially if it's from a region or an area where they do not live and most likely can't find it. Stuff like that's always kind of nice to get. So there you go, a couple of ideas. Check them out. Let me know what you think. Drop in the comments down below what you think a good gift would be for either yourself or a good gift idea for somebody else. It's the time of year where gift ideas are welcomed. And if you are like me, in my family, almost everybody at this point in life, extremely difficult to buy for because pretty much everybody buys whatever they want, whenever they want it, and they just got to have it now, so they go get it. So that makes it extremely difficult to buy something. Plus, when it comes to gifts, I am more like really old school on gifts. It should be thoughtful. It should be something that you wouldn't get for yourself that's kind of unexpected. I hate the idea of like, here's a list of all the crap that I want. Give it to me. That's not the spirit of gift giving, and I don't like it. I don't like that gifts have become kind of an obligation or a mandatory thing. I just find it ridiculous. That is not what a gift is. A gift is supposed to be something that is appreciated because it was unexpected. Um, Anyways, I'll get off that tangent. Back to the ending. Thanks for watching this video. If you've made it all the way this far, please like and subscribe if you're getting any benefit out of this content. If you have any ideas as to where I should take the channel, would also love to hear about it. Thanks to all the subscribers who are kind of pushing my channel forward. And as I said before, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Thanks for watching, and enjoy your whiskey. We'll catch you in the next video.